So when you look at Bill Gates, you look at Warren Buffett, you look at any successful person, you can see that they all have one thing in common. They absolutely freaking love what they do. Welcome to the Optimized Podcast, where we talk about leadership, entrepreneurship, and growth for kids like me who just want some wild success in life. My name is Scoglio. I'm the president of Optimized Club at my high school, and we hope to attract you so that you can grow as an entrepreneur by spreading self-improvement to your own club at your own school. We're only working with the next 2 people who sign up, so check our description below. So like we were talking about earlier, Warren Buffett, I'm just going to start out with him. He apparently tap dances to work every single day. He's interested in what he does, and every single billionaire, every single millionaire that I have looked at, I have studied, that's just kind of something that I do for fun. They all absolutely freaking love what they do. And I've realized that I absolutely freaking love what I do, and I think that will get me very far. I have interest in what I do. So there's 3 key traits to my journey so far. And the first one is obviously interest. There's other 2, but for just a bonus example at the end, I'm going to give you a trait that I am working on that I think will further my journey, because I'm only so far. But to further my journey as an entrepreneur, as a leader, and personal growth, I believe that you must have this trait. But you might ask yourself, how do I find what I'm interested in? I'm going to tell you a story that got me to figure out how I was interested in it, in what I do right now, and it might help you, okay? So we were at a football game, right? I was on the JV football team in 9th grade, and I'm the 5th receiver. It's the 4th quarter in a game, and I'm staying back. The coach is there, everyone there. Nobody wants me. And so I'm 5th in the back, 2 minutes left in the game, and we're down like 35 points. So then coach turns to me, yeah, Cam, you want to get in? He's basically saying, like, put in the trash people. I'm like, oh, bet, coach. So I get in, I'm on the line. I'm along 3 other dudes that are also like kind of good, not starters. I line up, I dash off the line. I looked over and the coach had put in a signal. He moved his hands up in the air and waved them around a little bit. Hail Mary. So we go and I dash off the line and I look behind me, the ball's in the air and it's going to the right. Someone else gets it. But me being me, as just freaking beast, I'm like, oh, let me show the coach how fast I am. Like, oh, I should have gotten that ball. So despite not warming up, I run and I'm sprinting as fast as I can, full stride, just to catch up with the dude that caught the ball. He was faster than me, but I didn't want to say anything. But I felt something like pop in my left hip. It didn't hurt at first, but over the next couple of months, I realized something. Every time till the end of practice, I could start lifting up my knees less and less. In a couple months, I couldn't even lift up my knee. I'm now missing winter track. But me being me, I said I'll do it myself. I'd already gotten injured in the past before. I'm like, I already know what I'm going to do. So I didn't go to a PT. I didn't do anything. And for 3 months, I did my own stuff. And then I realized that didn't work. Because a year later, I'm now hearing damn crutches, walking around summertime, not doing anything. So I went to a PT. And, they can't really fix me. Go to another PT. Finally, he's figuring out how to fix me. And this whole time, I've gotten so into PT. Very into, like absurdly into PT. All just because I wanted to heal my leg. I've been watching videos. I had been following this guy named Knees Over Toes guy. I'd been watching sprint videos just to, I just became so obsessed. I was just like, I need to become the best. So if I can't run right now, I'm going to study sprint form. So I was studying sprint form. So much stuff going on. I was just so interested in becoming the best. And you might think, or at least I thought that I was normal for this. Something very similar happened to a friend of mine. And it didn't happen to him. Like, he didn't have this insane obsession with what he was doing. And I realized that maybe this is a trait that could get me far. And it has gotten me far. Because of that, fast forward a year and a half, I'm now here teaching people about health, body, productivity, all that stuff because of the start of my journey. So I found what I was interested in because of this giant problem that I had. I had the gigantic problem of I need to fix my damn leg. And I'd fixed it. I fixed it through doing things like studying PT and studying Andrew Huberman, studying sprint things, all this stuff. And so you might ask yourself, I don't have a big problem with me right now. That's okay. Because a year before this, I had no big problems. I realized that it doesn't matter if you don't have a big problem right now. It's harder to figure out what you're interested in, but you need a big problem. You don't need a big problem. My bad. If you have just a slight problem right now, let's say that your hair is a little bit messed up. So you go to the store, you like watch all these videos about how to get hair because you're interested in how to fix your hair. You fix your hair and you're done. You're not very interested in it. And then you go and you're like, I know I want to make some money. So you go and you watch some videos about how to make money. You try drop shipping. That doesn't work. You try media content. That's not really helping you. You try making a club at your school. Okay, that sounds kind of cool. And all of these random things you're trying, you kind of like things more than others. But then this one, like, okay, making a club at my school, that was really cool. So you keep doing it. Now, you didn't have a big problem to solve. You had little problems to solve, and you kind of sampled each one. And each little sample, you found, I like this more than this. What you can do here is if you sample enough times, you're automatically going to find your favorites, like picking ice cream. The thing with me was that there was only 2 flavors. It was either my leg or not my leg. So, I'll choose the chocolate. For you, you might have Baskin-Robbins, like 80 flavors. You don't know what to do. The more flavors you try, the faster you're going to find what you're going to like. For most of us, though, we don't try anything. I know this dude who tried a little bit too much, though. His name is Fawaz, and he's my friend. And we've been friends for a while, and I've known him for a very long time. At first, he was interested in like furries and stuff. He got into a furry Discord server. Crazy story on that. I don't even want to say that because he probably wouldn't enjoy that. But he was very obsessed with furries. Then he got into like skateboarding. Kind of correlated there, kind of became a little bit emo. Then he got into fitness a little bit, didn't really stick with it as well as I think he could have. And now he's into fixing car parts. And I'm just like, okay, that's cool, Fawaz. What are you sticking to? I mean, I'm glad he's figuring out, he's taking my advice, like, sample everything. But you need to find something that you are extremely interested in and then stick with that. Right now, for the most of us, though, we're like 16, we're like 15, we're like 14, we're like 17, 18. You just got to try things out. The more things you try and the more time you spend trying things, the faster you will find doing something. So don't waste your time watching random videos. Don't waste your time doing X and Y, going out with your friends. Spend your time doing something. The faster you do something, the faster you'll figure out what you do. Okay. And so when we look back at that story, that's going to get me to my second point. Another key trait that got me to where I was I had this unquenchable motivation for just becoming the best. I don't know if this trait is acquirable because for some reason, I feel like I've always had this. I'd always just been like the alpha kid on the elementary school, just trying to become the best on the football, on the playground, best grades. I just always it was rewarded by my parents. So that was something that came easy to me. But I feel like most millionaires and billionaires have this. If we look at Bill Gates, I'll give you a quick story of what Bill Gates' backstory. He liked coding. Like, he had interest in coding, right? He found it fun to code. But he also had this unquenchable motivation. A ton of people find it fun to code. But this dude has some unquenchable motivation. Like, hard to get out of his body. Like, he just had to do it. So he would go out. He would sneak out of his room every night and go to the dang only computer lab, like 1 out of 10 computer labs in the entire country that just happened to be across the street from him, sneak in there at 2 a.m. and code the whole night. He just said he had to be the best. And for the rest of his career, when he was building Microsoft, when he was building the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, everything he was doing was because he was absolutely obsessed with it. And if you aren't obsessed with something, then you probably aren't interested enough. Okay? If you aren't obsessed with something, you probably aren't interested enough. Right now, I'm pretty obsessed with this. That's why I've just made this new podcast, because I just want something else to do. I'm obsessed with becoming better. And that's because I have interest in it. I have interest in what I'm doing right now to help people around me, to help young people around me, help them grow, help them become entrepreneurs, and help the entrepreneurs help other people. just multi-level marketing thing, and I just can't get my head around it, how good of an idea this is. For a lot of us, though, you might burn out. If I'm so obsessed with something, if I do something 6 to 10 hours a day, even more, I know a lot of people who do 14 hours a day. Alex Hormozi, Hamza, they are extremely obsessed. I haven't gotten to that level yet where I can handle that work capacity. That's why I'm doing this. I just want to do more, get to that work capacity. But for a lot of us, if we do that too much, we'll burn out. So for me, I've never experienced burnout, but I think that there's a way to avoid burnout, because I've known many people who have burned out. Swimmers, for example. If I go in the sauna and I see a swimmer, then they'll usually tell me that they've stopped swimming. They're usually college kids, right? This is due to something called the overjustification effect. And if you're experiencing burnout right now, or you think you might experience burnout in the future, then you might want to know this. The overjustification effect can be explained by if you have a bunch of kids in a room. So there was an experiment done by 2 scientists, and the scientists went into a children's room. They gave everyone, they got the kids that like to draw, and they gave half of the kids that like to draw a reward every time they drew, and they left the other half alone. So whenever the kids drew in this half, they were paid for it. And after 6 weeks, they took away the payment, and the kids that got paid for it stopped liking to draw. Right now, we can see that this is happening in college football. College football players are now allowed to make money, and people are like, oh, the overjustification effect is going to stop them. College football players initially did it for intrinsic motivation, meaning they did it on the inside. They liked to play football. But when they changed that intrinsic motivation to extrinsic motivation, aka, money, then they assign what they do to money, and when they lose the money, they don't like to do it anymore. The way to avoid this is you must remind yourself every single day and every single time you do something, this is not for money. This is not to prove to my parents anything. This is not to do X or Y or anything. This is literally just to do the damn hard work and to do the thing that you came here to do. The very first thought that you had in your mind, if it wasn't about money, then what was that thought? Keep that thought for the rest of your life. Bill Gates kept that thought. Jeff Bezos kept that thought. Hamza kept that thought. Well, I think he was in it for the money. Alex Hormozi is keeping that thought. And I have kept that thought, which is avoid me burning out. I think I just did the math. I have about 2,200 hours into literally speaking, making content, and learning how to make better content, reading, whatever. Probably around ballpark 2,000 hours. The way that I've avoided burning out from doing this every single dang day for 6 hours is by avoiding the overjustification effect. And now there's a third trait that has been a key to my success so far. And remember that I'm going to give you a bonus trait at the end after this one. So, Naval Ravikant, right? Naval Ravikant is a millionaire investor, probably wisest dude that I've ever met. I freaking love this dude, bro. He says, who you are friends with is way more important than what you do or how you do it. So when I think back to this podcast right now, right? It started back maybe a year or 2 years ago when I was just getting on to self-improvement. I had 2 friends named Benny and PJ, and they owned a channel called 30Y. They still own it. They have about 15,000 subscribers right now. I'm only at 200 on my main channel. And they were my only friends for a while, right? It was COVID, or, my friends, I was kind of not really liking them. So I hung out with them a lot. And because they're my only friends, we try to conform to society. That's just what we do. And I said to them, or they said to me, or we said to each other, it was not really explicit, I'm going to make a YouTube channel. So Beneem, he had a channel going on where it's just like post for fun, okay, let's practice posting. So I'm like, okay, my friends are doing this, why don't I do this? So I start posting on that channel, getting into YouTube, whatever. My friends are talking about YouTube all the time. So I'm like, okay, well, YouTube sounds fun. My friends are doing YouTube. Let me do that. My friends are still doing YouTube, so I'm still doing YouTube. And simply because my friends are doing it, I'm doing it. For the most of us, our friends aren't productive. So when our friends are vaping, we're vaping. When our friends are playing football, we're playing football. When our friends are getting good grades, we're getting good grades. Same with bad grades. It's easy to see that what your friends do are what you do. So you can come to the conclusion that you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time around with. So if you are the average of the people that you spend the most time around with, then you might want to become an average of better friends. So you ask yourself, how can I get better friends? There's two ways. You can either leave them or you can lead them. Okay. So you can leaving them. It's simple. It's easy. I mean, it's hard actually. One thing that I was thinking about earlier today, I was like, okay, it doesn't matter how long I've spent time with this friend. If they're not serving me still, or I'm not serving them in a way where it's like back and forth, and then why am I still friends with this guy? Sure, we've shared fun times together. I've shared my thoughts and things with him. But I had this friend a very long time ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago in middle school. And we had like best friends, spent a very long time with him. He was getting into drugs and stuff, and I was not into that stuff. I said, fuck it, man. Like, I'm not talking to this dude. And I stopped talking to him. Now I like see him in the hallway. He still goes to the same school. He's hanging around the average of him, which is druggies. I'm not hanging around the average of me, which is very productive, high value dudes. That's what happens. You may have to come to the conclusion to leave someone if it comes to that situation. However, I usually hate that. You don't want to be a loner. And for the most of us, if we're the only ones consuming this type of content, which I was for a while, then you're a loner and you suck and you don't have anyone around you. You don't want to do that. So the solution is the second option: lead them. I want to give you an example of this, right? If you had a friend, let's say he really likes this girl, and he sees them in the hallway every day, and he's like, oh, she's so bad, bro. What is it? And you say, why don't you go talk to her? He says, oh, bro, I can't go talk to her, whatever. Then what you can do is, if you are so good at what you do that you literally say, all right, watch this. You go up to the girl and you go get her number while the dude is watching, then that dude will probably do anything for you to tell him how you just got her number. This is why you would rather follow a jack dude's workout advice than a skinny dude's workout advice. They're so good at what they do that you'll follow anything that they tell you. Now, you could tell your friend to go eat shit, and that's what he would probably do because, that's how you get the number. Or you can tell him, like, okay, go work out in the gym, and maybe that's how you get her number. That's what I did. That's more credible. So if you want to get your friends to be more higher value, then you simply get results, do it better than them, and show them that's how they get what they want. Because you've just gotten what they want. And this comes down to the bonus trait: leadership. Leadership I see as something that can be scaled. It can be something that can be easily improved in anyone. And it is probably the number one trait of any billionaire that I've seen. Billionaire, right? You lead as in you're the first to go. You lead as in you're the most interested. You lead as in you're the hardest worker, most productive, anything that you can think of. They lead in. I myself am not that great of a leader right now. I'm going to be honest when it comes to people. Right now I'm on the board of Optimize. I'm the president. And so, of course, I try to lead them. Nobody really talks to me. Nobody really follows me. And that's why I say that this is not a trait that I have yet, but a trait that I want to have. Now, I'm pretty good at being a leader and doing things first, at just doing my own thing, just, being interested. But as a leader of people, which I believe is very important to somebody's big success, you have to have two things. You have to have people to be able to follow you. You have to be able to delegate, and you have to have culture. Now, these are things that I have been getting into, trying to figure out, and have been improving over time. But what I can tell you is that one time when we were on a optimized meeting, there was 5 minutes before the thing. And I'm talking to the board around me like, okay, do you guys got everything we need? Whatever. For the last week, I've been telling them this. For the last week, I've been asking them to get their parts ready, put it on this dock, do this, do X, do Y, do Z. Asking them to do all this stuff. And then Benit comes in, 5 minutes left to go, and he doesn't even have a part. That's when I realized that I'm just either one, have been a shit leader, or two, maybe he sucks. But as a leader, you need to take your own accountability. And I realized that if I was a better leader, he probably would have done it. So that brings the question that how to get to persuade people to follow you. I obviously don't know anything, but I can tell you that I know what not to do. Okay. So if you want to persuade someone, if you don't want to persuade someone to follow you, then you have to have three things. You have to be equal to them in status. Okay, so you can't be someone that is better than them, because if you were better than them, they would probably follow you. But if you're equal to them, then it's unlikely that they're going to follow you. Now, you can change that by trying to become an authority in that, or establishing authority rules, whatever. But it's pretty unlikely if you and your friend are building a club together and you both want to be the leader, and then you try to tell them to do something. It's not going to happen. You have to. Another way to not persuade someone to follow you is that they have no problem. Okay, if I had the problem that my hair sucks, then I need to have a solution for that problem. Then I would go to someone to fix my problem, and they would lead me and guide me to fix my problem. If nobody had any problem in the people that I'm trying to lead, then why would they listen to me? If the person doesn't have a problem, then you aren't able to persuade them. You can persuade them of a problem and that you can fix it. But if they don't have a problem, then you're not going to persuade them to change anything. And the third way to not persuade anyone to follow you is to keep asking them for stuff. Okay, so this is a big problem for mine. I ask and I ask and I ask, and I realize that I haven't been listening. Now, I try to listen because I know that as a leader, you have to listen to people. Listen to what the people are saying, listen to what to do. But if I ask them so much, then they're going to get so freaking annoyed. I'm going to give an example. Same optimized meeting. For the past week, like I said, I've been trying to tell them to do stuff. They don't do anything. That was just humiliating for me. Now, I've been reading a book, actually. It's called, what is it called? Smart Brevity. And, okay, so I've just sent a 30-minute video to my board telling them about the rebrand of Optimized to my own channel and the Optimized Media channel with this podcast. And what that did was nobody responded to it. 4 out of 10 people watched the video, I think. 4 in the last 2 days. And I'm kind of mad because, this is supposed to be our thing. I realized that, I just sent them a 30-minute video. Well, who's going to watch that? Of course not. That's actually average. So I'm reading this book. I see the title. It says, "Say More in Less Time." I'm like, wow. Start reading the book. It says nobody wants to listen to you if you're talking so much. What you can do is do this. It gives me all these things. Okay, if you want to make a newsletter, straight to the point, do this, do that, X, Y. I apply it the next day. I say, important update, Optimized Media channel has been made. I use all the bullet points that they told me, and instantly, the dude that I never responded. I was like, wow. So if you want to get people to listen to you and stop asking them so much stuff, you might want to learn to say more and less. You can read that book called Smart Brevity. I'm not sponsored by that. I wish I was, because, I'm only halfway through the book and I'm already talking about it. So the second question that you might need to ask yourself is how to successfully delegate your stuff. Okay, so for an example, I have 2 editors that are editing for me for free right now. They're not amazing, right? Sorry, guys, but they're pretty good. The way that I've done this is 2 reasons, okay? So the first reason was I simply went onto a Hamza server and I said, big opportunity for anyone that wants to gain skills and wants to do something with their life. Probably 100 people saw it. One guy DMs me, says, "Oh, bet, bro, I'll do that." I'm really nice to him. I use all the tricks from influence, and how to win friends and influence people. And I convince him to edit for me for free. The trick to this was that I put it as me doing a favor for him and not him doing a favor for me. That's all you have to do. Now, he also had these traits that I said earlier. Interest. He had interest to edit. He had motivation to do it. I don't know if he has unquenchable motivation, but he had motivation. And he had the third of good friends. I was a good friend to him. I motivated him to edit. I was on YouTube. So he had some 3 traits to get him to do something different. Okay? So that was the first way that I did it. And the second way was from another guy that simply DM'd me, offering to edit for free. So I asked him, why? Why are you editing for me for free? He said, I see potential in you. And I was like, wow. If somebody sees potential in me and wants to edit for me for free out of the 200 people that are subscribed to me, then imagine when I had 10K. Man, I'm getting so many editors. So If somebody really sees potential in you, and I've noticed this, if you're putting effort into what you do, you're really thinking about what you do, you have purpose in what you do, then people are going to want to talk to you, hang out with you, and do things for you because they see that you will do things for them in the future. That's what potential is a possible future outcome. If they see that your future is bright, they're going to want to be in that future. So to successfully get people to do things for you for free, you have potential. Not to delegate them. To really delegate them, you have to learn to delegate to them. I have this problem. I used to have this problem very much in group projects. So we would be in elementary school or middle school, and I would always do all the work because I knew that I could do it better than my partner. And I would have such a problem with delegating stuff. But once I did delegate that stuff, I realized that the teacher knows that those guys suck and they still give me 100. So just realize that, people understand when other things that people are doing things for you at a small level. Of course, if you have a giant business, you better delegate the right people and work with them. But at a small level where we probably are right now, delegating is normal, especially with 16, 15, high schoolers. You don't have to worry about having a shit product if everyone else's product is shit. Now, if you have an amazing product, then okay, everyone's going to yours. But if everyone else's sucks, then it's fine if yours does as well. So for me, what I'm doing in next year's Optimize Club is, I already have the speaking skills, I already have the storytelling. Of course, it's not perfect, but I could do the whole club by myself if I really needed to. But I want to delegate to these guys, so I obviously don't have to do it all. These guys have no experience. These guys suck right now. But in the future, they won't. So I'm delegating to them. I'm saying, okay, you guys can be speakers next year. I just ask that you guys practice over summer, blah, 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 blah. And that way you won't have to do as much work in the future. You can train them. You can do all that stuff around you. And so the question 3 is what I've noticed has been very important. You need to have a culture around your tribe. And this is how to develop that leadership trait once again. One amazing leader that I have in my life is my track coach. So my track coach has been my whole, long story short, he hasn't been my track coach because I've always been hurt. But I can see that he's just an amazing track coach. He has all the traits that I lined out earlier. He has interest, he has motivation, he has friends around him. And he also has amazing leadership. And I can see that the culture around the track team is entirely because of him. Entirely. Our track team is amazingly disciplined. Our track team is focused. Our track team always gets to track on time compared to the football team that I was on. It's completely different. Everyone there is academic. Everyone there is focused. Everyone there is disciplined, purposeful. And the football team, obviously it's not going to be as academic as the track team, but those guys aren't as disciplined. Probably because the coaches are kind of fat. Coach Scruggs, though, this dude reads. This dude has eyeballs that will stare you down like cold steel. This dude is tall, looks like Abraham Lincoln, and extremely disciplined, has a beard, will yell at you if you do something wrong. This dude has a culture of discipline. So our track team has a culture of discipline. The leader creates the culture. For me, what I've been trying to do for the Optimize Club as a whole is create a new culture. I want a culture that we tell each other when we suck. I want a culture that we spend time with each other. We're friends with each other, but we're also business partners. We're all obsessed with this. And so for that reason, I'm obsessed with it. For that reason, I hang out with my people. For that reason, I tell my people that they suck. And if I do it right, that will create a culture around it. So think about if you have those 3 traits. Interest. Are you interested in what you do? Will you be interested in what you do? And can you do it for 1,000,000 years for free? Do you have unquenchable motivation? Can you get unquenchable motivation? And really, that's just a byproduct of interest. And number 3, are your friends worth hanging around? And my call to action for you is get rid of your friends or lead your friends so that you can become better. Is it worth the 2 years that you spend with your friends, which will cost you 2 years? Or the possible millions of dollars that you could have if you got rid of them? We're not trying to be money, right? You don't want to have the over-justification effect, but really that's just a measure of value. You could become so much more valuable without them, if you find that. And of course, develop yourself as a leader. Thank you for listening, and my name is Scoglio. Remember to be up.